Welcome to selfdiscoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Building Your Business right here at selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today is Amy Geffen. We're going to be talking about job search over 55. She is from executive director to career coach, a journey of reinvention and guidance. Says after 13 jobs and changing careers 4 times, she decided to help job seekers by becoming a career coach. Her next to last full-time job was an executive director of NYSSA, a nonprofit association for financial analysts. She worked with a career coach and took the training to become a career coach. And she continued to work as full-time director at the professional development by coaching part-time. 6 years ago, she left her full-time job to devote her career to career coaching. And she started out as a teacher, an English teacher in second language, and graduated high school in French literature. She's became a college professor. So kind of going to becoming a career coach, I think, is in her blood. It's that desire to help people further their education. And she's created online courses and Lotus Notes and ASME, and she's worked with engineers to create courses on Blackboard, and she's worked with 6 different nonprofit professional associations. And she's done a lot. So why was it so important for her to help people find a career that suits them? Why is it so important that we need that?
Okay.
We are having some technical issues today. I don't know if it's something to do with the blood moon or, we might be in retrograde, who knows? But if she disappears, don't worry, she will come back. And if she freezes, the beautiful wisdom will still keep pouring from her. But, sometimes you've just got to go with the tech and not fight it, because fighting is futile. So as I said, falling in kind of in love with learning and teaching and passing the knowledge along to empower other people. Your path has been very much one of discovery, and not just discovery of knowledge around you, but kind of discovery of yourself along the way. And in that intrigue of what else is out there and what else is possible and who else could benefit from this has kind of led you down this path now to help other people discover their own careers. And it doesn't matter what stage of life we're in, young, mid. How many people do I know that have redirected their careers in their 60s? I was 57, in their 60s. It's like it ain't over until it's over. And sometimes we step into passion in later life, but we still need to know how to navigate that path. So this is where you come in, isn't it, Amy?
Exactly. So would you like to have me to tell the audience a little bit about my background and how many times I've changed jobs, which is 13, and
Yes, yes, I did
career?
mention that in the opening up there. So like the roller coaster, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Many people come to coaching as the first thing they're doing, and so they have very little life experience or work
Mm.
experience. So I, on the other hand, have well over 30 years of work experience. So I'll tell you a little bit about the background and how that prepares me to work with people like you who are looking to make a change or don't know what change to make. So I started out as a teacher of English as a second language. I went to graduate school in French language and literature because my goal then was to become a college professor. Okay. I get my degree, PhD in French language and literature, and lo and behold, in my area of the world, there were no jobs. And at
Mhm.
that point, I had met the man who would become my husband, and we were not in a position to move to the Midwest or the West Coast to find a job. So I said, okay, what do I do now? I decided that I could use my skills and my PhD to get a job in college administration, not
Mm.
teaching, but administration in continuing education, which I did at a local college, private college in the city of New York. I worked there, and then subsequently I worked at two other colleges. Uh, One was a private college, which is now part of St. John's University. Another one is part of the State University of New York, Westchester Community College, where I actually worked on Lotus Notes, if you're old enough to remember what Lotus Notes was. Uh, so I got my start with programming, marketing programs, working with faculty, developing courses in Lotus Notes. All right. Then after about 4 or 5 years there, I decided, okay, it's time to change jobs, looking for another job. I interviewed for a job at another community college. At the same time, I was trying to contact one of my references, and she was trying to contact me. The
Ah.
woman who had 10 years prior had hired me at the College of Insurance was now someplace else at an association for risk and insurance. And she was looking to find me because she wanted to hire me. So again, and we'll talk later about networking. I
Mhm.
knew this woman. We were not socially active. We were not, I would call friends, but
Mhm.
10 years later, she hires me at her association. So lo and behold, now I'm doing programming and marketing at a not-for-profit association. I was there for about 4 or 5 years, and then I said, okay, time to change jobs again. I spoke on distance learning at two conferences, and a gentleman who was in the audience was looking for someone to hire who knew distance learning at, of all places, the American Society for Mechanical Engineers. What do I know about mechanical engineering? Nothing. My father happened to have been a mechanical engineer, but that's the closest I ever got to being a mechanical engineer. So this gentleman hired me because he heard me speak about online learning. And when I worked with him, I worked with engineers, both faculty on engineering and members who were doing programs for us to develop their courses, their live courses, onto Blackboard. Again, at that time, Blackboard was the state-of-the-art application. There are many online applications now, we know that, but Blackboard was it, and
Mhm.
that's what we did. So I worked with him for about 4 years, and then I switched jobs within the organization, and I worked on programming and strategic planning, and I developed a program on oil and gas for India, New Delhi, India. So I got to travel to New Delhi, India. I got to travel to China 3 times. I love that job working for the mechanical engineers. I happen to
Mm.
like travel. Not everybody does, but it
Mhm.
gave me the opportunity to travel. I was in Peru twice, in Bolivia, and Argentina. Okay,
Lovely.
so that's the mechanical engineering. 10 years I spent there, but 3 different jobs. Then I said, okay, time to change. 10 years, that was the longest I'd ever stayed at any organization, but the jobs were 4 years, 4 years, 2 years. I said, time to change. I'm looking for another type of job. I became the executive director of an organization then called the New York Society of Security Analysts, which is now, it's basically financial analysts. Again,
Mhm.
what do I know about finance? That's not my field, but my field is how to run an organization
Mhm.
operationally, budget-wise, programming. And so I was actually given a contract. Now, in New York, most people don't get contracts. There's certain kinds of fields you do. This was the first time I had ever been on a contract. So it was a 3-year contract. Contract ends after 3 years. They didn't renew, but they kept me for another 7 months. So it's time to say goodbye to me. They give me some severance. I said, well, I'm an executive director. I need outplacement. Have you heard of this company, which is an outplacement company? Yes. I said, well, I need outplacement. And they paid for me to be a client of an outplacement company once a week for a year to help me find my next job. And while I was at that outplacement company, I took their training program in how
Mm.
to become a career coach.
Aha.
Aha. So now I've got all these years of work experience and I go through the training program. So now I understand what's the process of getting a job, having looked for jobs, many jobs in the
Mhm.
past. I learned their process and I worked with a non-profit uh, outplacement company that places people in nonprofits. And I got a couple of interim positions. What does that mean? Interim means it's a full-time job, but it doesn't last forever. One job
Right.
was a 6-month position. Actually, it was an administrative position at a Universalist church in New York City. Okay. The second position lasted a year. It was the executive director of the Financial Women's Association. Great job, executive director. They love me. They wanted me to stay after the year, but I chose not to stay with them because they did not have a 401k program. So again, when you negotiate for jobs, you want to make sure they have all the benefits that you want, not just
Right.
vacation, but maybe it's a 401k plan, maybe it's a pension plan. So I didn't stay after that, but I did continue to look for a job. And at that stage of my life, I said, well, I don't have to be an executive director anymore. I want to get a full-time job. My passion is education and programming. And I applied for and got a job at the Council for Economic Education. That is a not-for-profit organization. And their mission is to teach teachers how to teach their students about financial literacy. Everyone knows you really know how do you get a bank account? How do you
Yeah.
write a check? How do you deal with your credit cards? In any case, so I worked for them. I started my career coaching part-time while I was still working full-time. And that's one of the things I tell people who want to be solopreneurs and start their own business as a one-person shop. It's really important to keep working if you can while you
Yes.
build your business, because
Yes.
your business could take anywhere from 3 to 5 years to take off, and you're not going to start out the gate with the same salary that you were used to
Yeah.
having at your full-time job, and you don't have any of the benefits or the health care. Anyway, so that was 11 years ago. I started part-time, and then 6 years ago, while I was working at this Council for Economic Education, I was there for 3 years. Then I quit. I gave them plenty of notice. I gave them 2 months notice, and I helped them find the replacement. I actually interviewed my replacement. They were happy about that. Companies always like the idea that if you're going to leave, you're going to help them fill
Yes.
the position.
Yeah.
And I helped him fill the position. He was a great person for the job. He was perfect. He was from education. He knew financial literacy. He was bilingual, English, Spanish. He was a perfect person for it. And then I concentrated on my career coaching. So that's how I got here. 13 jobs, and career coaching is my fourth career. And because I had been a teacher and I really just love to give back, and I'm used to working for nonprofits, what do? I help other people. And
Yes.
I can talk a little bit about the, oh, here we go again.
Yeah. Frozen. Don't
You
worry
can,
about
but you can hear me. Okay.
it.
Okay. So that's me and that's my background. Where would you like to go
Well,
next?
absolutely everything that you have just said, it doesn't matter what job you did, it's all been preparing you for what you're doing now. All you've done is got you've become the conductor of the orchestra, but you had to learn how to play all those other instruments so you knew how to conduct, right? So everything
Exactly.
is
Good
life
metaphor.
experience
Yes.
that's prepared you for what you're doing now. And I think a lot of people dismiss that. Um, they
Okay.
go and get degrees,
Yes.
expect to replace his life experience because now you can really relate to what people are looking for. You really can
Right.
speak to maybe what they're not thinking about because of the experience, because of the diverse experience of what you've been doing. And very often people just don't know how to identify where they're going or what their aptitudes are or what they really particularly would be very good at. And they might be chasing an expectation without actually understanding really what actually would fit them.
Very good point. And that is why I use this 5-step process with all my clients, starting with assessment.
Mm-hmm.
5 steps are assessment, branding, connecting, differentiating, and enhancing. And the assessment is the first step. And we do some activities together and some worksheets to identify What are your best skills, your hard skills, your soft skills? What interests you?
Mm-hmm.
What are your values in the workplace? Some people are committed to working for a not-for-profit, an organization with a mission. Other people are committed to making money. They want to work for a for-profit. That's great. It's a period of time where we talk and we brainstorm about what works for you. What are you good at? What do
Mm-hmm.
you like to do? And what are you interested in? So I'll give you a few examples, very simple examples. Let's say someone is very good at writing and they love to travel. Well, we brainstorm. What are some of the jobs that you could do? Well, there is such a thing as a travel writer.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friend's daughter-in-laws is a travel writer. She travels all over the world, gets paid to do it, and writes articles. And that's what
Right.
she does. That's
Yes.
what she does for a living. Another example, let's say you're very technically oriented, you love computers, but you're also good at sales. You're good with talking to people. Well, maybe you could be a computer salesperson. On the other hand, if you're not great with sales, but you know IT and tech, maybe you can be an IT support person. So we go through a process which helps identify the skills and the interests. And when we combine a skill and an interest, we can come up with a number of different possible
Mm-hmm.
job titles. Then, so that's the first step, assessment. Then the second step is called branding.
Mm-hmm.
Once a client knows, you know what you want to do, you have an actual job title. It's called a job target. It's a industry, it's a field, and it's a job title. And you could have more than one. You could have two, possibly three, no more than three job targets. That's when we start writing the pitch, the cover letter, the resume, and the LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised to know that some people don't have a LinkedIn profile. It always surprises me, but it shouldn't. In any case, we start with the resume first because a resume has to highlight the
Mm-hmm.
specific accomplishments and skills you have for the job that you're going for. A
Mm-hmm.
resume is not your autobiography. It need not
Right.
say, it need not include every single thing you've ever done in your life. And certainly if you have a lot of years of experience, it need not include more than 10 or 15 years of experience. I
Mm-hmm.
work with people with 20, 30 years of experience, and I'm saying to them, you're not putting that in the resume because the jobs you're going for are not asking for 20 years of
Right.
experience.
Yes. I started at McDonald's. Yes.
Exactly. And people, unfortunately, there is ageism and they're a little turned off by someone who's so much older
Yeah.
for several reasons. One, they think they don't know the technology, they can't learn new things, they want too much money. So, in order to get your foot in the door to get that interview, your resume should not have more than 10 to 15 years of work experience. And if you're going for different jobs, even if the job title's the same, you have to read the job description very carefully and you can tailor your resume. Make sure your resume has the specific skills that are in the job description. And you pick out a few accomplishments from each of your jobs that are relevant to that particular job. So once you're happy with a resume, then we can work on the LinkedIn profile. The LinkedIn profile, unlike the resume, has a lot of real estate, a lot of space
Mm-hmm.
in the about section.
Mm-hmm.
The about section is the equivalent of a one-page single space typing, which is a lot of space. You don't have
Yeah.
that on a resume. You
Mm-hmm.
can actually talk in the first person. I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually write paragraphs and describe in detail a few of your best accomplishments, the accomplishments you are most proud of. In addition, you have a heading under your name. The heading has 220 characters. And in that heading, you can include some job titles and some key skills. And it's okay to repeat the skills under your heading and in the about section. And it's okay to repeat the accomplishments in the about section and under your jobs. So that's the LinkedIn profile. And when you go for an interview and they ask you the first thing, oh, so tell me about yourself. Again, they're not looking for an autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for a 2-minute pitch. It's
Yes.
called the elevator pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Amy Geffen. I'm a career coach, and I'm here today because I'm interested in working for you on your career programs.
Mhm.
Simple, short, and sweet. You introduce yourself, you say what your best skills are, and you say why you're here, and you're happy to be here. Third step is connecting. Now, those of us who are in businesses, whether for ourselves or with other people, we know how to network. We may even belong to networking groups.
Mhm.
Often, someone who's a job seeker has been at a company for a long time and really doesn't know how to network to meet new people or to network with the people they already know to get introduced to other people.
Mhm.
So all of us have a network, our family, our friends, our coworkers, former supervisors,
Mhm.
people we know because we're on our kids' soccer team coaching,
Yes.
or we're in a book club, or we're in a card club. So I coach my clients in how do you build your network? You start with the people you know, and you contact them and you tell them about yourself and what you're doing, and you're looking for a job. And could they introduce you to someone they know who works in a particular company or in a particular field? Then you need to build your network,
Mhm.
expand from the people you already know. How do you build your network? I coach my clients to build their network in 5 ways. First way is you start with your friends and family. Second way is you join a professional association. Every job title has an association. If you're a doctor, it's the AMA. If you're a neonatal nurse, it's NAPNAP. If you're an association executive, it's the Association for Association Executives. Which is funny, but there's one in every state. When I was an association exec, I belonged to the New York Society of Association Executives. So there are many, many organizations out there. Again, mechanical engineers has its own association. Chemical engineers has an
Mhm.
association. Electrical engineers has an association. You can join, you can go to meetings, you can go online, you can go to events. Some things you can find out for free, some things require a membership. But your professional association is a good place to reach out and meet new people.
Yeah.
Third way is your alumni association or just alumni from your high school, your college, your graduate school, a certificate program. Any program you've attended has alums. And what you can do is you can go to the LinkedIn page for that school, not their
Mm.
regular website.
Mhm.
On LinkedIn, most schools, colleges, high schools, graduate schools will have a LinkedIn profile page. And on that profile page, you can look up alumni by year of graduation, by city in which they live, by their major subject, and by the company for which they work. Now, you may not know any of these people, and that's okay. If you're younger, you want to get connected to people who are 10 to 15 years older than you because
Yeah.
they're in a position to hire you.
Mhm.
And you go online and you find them and you just send a little note saying, we're both alumni from XYZ University. I'd love to connect. Do you have time for a chat?
Mhm.
Okay. You don't say, oh, I'm looking for a job.
No.
You want to connect. You want to get to know them. Find out about their careers. How long have they been at that company? Do they like it? What do they like about their job? How did they get there? Tell me a little bit about your career. And it takes more than one time to build a relationship with someone. If it's a new person and you speak to them once, or maybe you have a Zoom or a FaceTime, you need to stay in touch every 4 to 6 weeks to keep building on that relationship. So that's
Mhm.
number three, the alumni. Number four is volunteering. Some of us volunteer, whether it's at a church or a synagogue or the local food kitchen or cleaning up the local park or we're coaching a little league team. The people who volunteer for the same thing that you volunteer for, well, you have that in common.
Yes.
And even if that person knows nothing about your field, every person you meet has 100 to 250 people in his or her own
Mm.
network.
Mhm.
They may know someone in
Mhm.
your field. They may know someone who works in a company where you would like to work. So don't be put off by the fact that these people don't do what you do and are not in the field that you're in. So that's number four, volunteering. And number five is joining a civic or religious organization. Again, a church, a temple, a synagogue, the Knights of Columbus, the Elks, the Masons. There are all sorts of organizations that are communal, community oriented, spiritually oriented. Another way to meet people. So, connecting means building your network through the 5 ways that I just mentioned. And I do a whole webinar on that. 4th step in your job search is D, differentiating yourself. When you apply for a job, there are a lot of other people who've applied for the same job.
Yeah.
Let's say you get the interview. Yay, you get the interview. So what are you going to say and how are you going to talk about yourself so that you stand out from the other candidates for the same job? This we call differentiating. And you do this by developing your accomplishments and practicing talking about your accomplishments. I spend a lot of time coaching people for the interview process. It's one thing to have your resume and you've written down the things you've done. It's another to be able
To
to
present
talk,
it.
to present it, be conversational.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't sound like it's memorized, even though it is, but you sound like just normal
Invitational.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And I recommend to all my clients, and this is the big $64,000 tip, you take little Post-it notes, the small ones, the 3x3 Post-it notes. And on each one, you write a sentence about an accomplishment. And on another one, you list your key skills, your top hard skills and soft skills. So that if you have a Zoom interview, you put these Post-it notes on top of your computer so you can still look at the camera
Yeah.
and you can see your notes.
Mm-hmm.
In that way, you do not have to bend your head down or to the left or to the right and lose eye contact with the person who's interviewing you.
Yeah.
So, good way to take notes. You put the notes up on your computer, and that makes sure that you won't forget to mention one of your key skills or one of your proudest accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the differentiating part. So then what happens? Let's say you've had an interview. Now, what do? After the interview is the enhancing part. What do we mean by enhancing? Most people say, well, I'd write a thank you note. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me about the position of such and such at this company. Well, that's just the first paragraph. Your follow-up is more than just a thank you. And that's why we call it an enhancement. Because in that follow-up email, not only do you say thank you, but you also say you learned something about the company.
Mm-hmm.
You also reiterate your key skills, 2 or 3 key skills that you bring to the table. You mention an accomplishment that you may have mentioned already in the interview that is relevant. And then you end with, I am certain I can contribute to meeting your bottom line if it's a for-profit company, or if it's a nonprofit, I am certain I can contribute to meeting your mission and look forward to hearing from you. So I spend quite a bit of time with people helping them understand the purpose of this enhancing email, how to follow up. And then what if you don't hear from them? How soon should you follow up again? Wait a week. You can't keep spamming people because they're not going to respond to you.
Yep.
Then let's say you get an offer. Yay, you got an offer for a job. Now, does that mean you're going to take it? Think about what are the pros and cons for you of taking this job? What are the best parts of it? What are the negatives? What are the pros and cons for you if you don't take this job?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you can decide, well, I'm going to take it. And then you negotiate salary, and you don't negotiate salary before you get the job, even though they keep pushing you and asking you, well, what salary are you looking for? What salary are you looking for? And you say, oh, I'm sure you'll be fair. Let's table that discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they ask you again, you say, well, I'm really more interested right now in the roles and responsibilities of the job before we talk about salary. Then if they keep pressing you, and it could be the first or the second or even the third interview, but they keep pressing you, they want to know how much money you want to make, you say, and you will have done your research. You say, I have done my research, and the market value for this position is between X and Y, and you give two numbers. Now, when you give a range, make sure the low number you give in that range is a number that you can accept.
Yes.
So if the range is, 75 to 100, but you're already making 80, then you say, oh, 80 to 110. Okay. Because when they hear the range, they'll probably want to go for the low end. So you can do your research online. There are a number of websites that provide information about salaries. Vault.com, salary.com. You can even Google it, and sometimes some of the job descriptions will actually have a salary in it, which is helpful, but a lot of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's the salary. How do you negotiate the salary? How do you avoid negotiating it during the
Mm-hmm.
process? And then how do you negotiate it once you get the offer? So those are the 5 steps: A, B, C, D, E: assessing, branding, connecting, differentiating, enhancing.
I'd
Next,
like to
go ahead,
uh,
Sam.
I'd like to comment on quite a number of those actually. Just getting, I'm going to reverse memory first of like that interview that you have and that thank you letter. I think it's always a great idea to point something out that they said, that the potential employer said, that I hadn't thought of it that way before. I really enjoyed your perspective on this or whatever. It's not necessarily kissing butt, but it is letting know that you paid attention, right?
Exactly.
Which
Exactly.
is it's not all about you, though it is. It's also about us because you're going to be working with these people. So you want to know, I feel a synergy. I totally agree with you on this, or whatever the case is. Bring a connection to it
Absolutely.
rather than just you needing the job and they've been the employee. The other thing is that's so important. I think people do forget. They're so busy going in with credentials or with the need for a job. They forget that a great deal of it is your personality, is your character. Do they buy you? Because before they're going to buy any of your credentials, expertise, or anything else, they want to know they like you. You are a fit. So are you going in there very, very confident with who you are, right? Do you stand tall in
Absolutely.
who you are?
Absolutely.
Do you own who you are? Not cocky, but confidently. Show your flexibility, right? At the same time,
Right.
be personable because,
That's what they're hiring you for.
that's what they're hiring you for. They want to know that you are a team player or that you're a team leader or that you're somebody that they would enjoy a drink with after work, right? They want to know that they can talk to you and that you're not just really great credentials, but really you're a jerk, right? So that is very, very important. And people, especially in that position, can pick out fake very, very easily. And so I always say it's like if you're a jeans and shirt guy going with a really good clean shirt and a nice pair of jeans, don't wear the Armani suit because it'll look like you're uncomfortable in it. So, dress to who you are respectfully for whatever the position is, but don't lose you because ultimately it's you that they're quote purchasing for the job with your skills, not just your skills and forget about you.
Good point, because all the people they're interviewing have the skills. They wouldn't
Yes.
waste their time with any of those potential candidates unless they all had the skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ultimately is it you? Do you fit in? Will you fit in with the team? Will you
Yes.
like the idea that you're going to be part of the team? One other thing I wanted to mention about the letters, the follow-up. If you're interviewed by more than one person, whether it's together in a group, and sometimes for universities, you get a committee of 4 or 5 people around the
Mm-hmm.
table interviewing you. You need to send each person his or her own
Yeah.
email. Do not
Yes.
send a group email.
Right. A
Yeah.
personable one,
Yes.
bringing out something each one of them has
One
said.
said that's you have to
I
take
mean,
notes.
everything is connection, isn't it? When we're looking for a job, yes, we need a job, roof over the head, something that we really are passionate about, that we're going to spend 8 hours every day or more, right? And that it's not just a job, going to work on Monday, that, oh, I really am excited about the next project or what we're doing. And you want to work with people that you admire, that you like, and that you feel that you're a part of. So I think when you're researching, it's also make sure, what do those people stand for, right? Do you have the same point of view?
Right.
Where is the relatability between you and the company? Because otherwise it's just going to be another short-term job, because
That's right.
it's not going to fit. And do you want to keep changing jobs, or would you like to build a career?
Right. Exactly. Very good points. And that's what puts this job search into high gear. And it also is frustrating for people. And that's part of it. It is full of frustration. It's full of rejection. You have to realize that, yes, you are
Yep.
going to be rejected. One of the coaches that I've worked with has said, you should make a chart, put up a big chart and put 99 no's and one yes. And every time you get a rejection, cross off
Cross
one
it
of the
off.
no's, and it gets you that much closer to the yes.
Yeah. I,
And
I like that idea, because I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, look at, actors and actresses that go for roles and they don't get
all the
them.
time they get rejected all the
Rejection isn't something you take personally, right? It's just that you're just not a fit for them.
for them.
Right. So it's that's the way it's meant to be. Could you improve on the way you present yourself next time? Maybe if I'd done this or done that, or maybe you just, but if you've really been personable and they really like
No,
you, they may mention to you, to another company, that you would be a better fit for. So never ever ignore referrals, right? Because if
that's
you've
right.
made an impression, that's what you would like them to do. Um, there's a big question I want to bring into this now, because this is the world that we're going into: AI. So many people's
Yeah.
jobs are threatened by it, but so many people look at it as a godsend, as an assistant, and really a huge potential. We don't want you AI writing your resume. It can edit it, it can give you ideas, it can give you feedback. But how does AI fit into this now? Because everybody needs to have some sort of savviness about it.
Absolutely. So just like any job now really requires you to know Microsoft Office suite. You must
Mm,
know Word, you must know Excel, you must know PowerPoint. And that's expected of almost anybody in almost any job. Now, you do need to become familiar with applications in AI, and it's not just Chat GPT. There's a whole bunch of them. There's Apollo, Perplexity, Descript, Claude, Gemini. I mean, I could list them. There's like dozens of them.
yeah.
But you have to show that you are willing to learn new things, that you
Yes.
can learn new things, that you're not afraid of technology. No one expects you to know everything that, or all the applications that a particular company uses, but you have to be willing and able to learn those applications. That's what I would say about AI. And I agree with you with the piece about using AI for your resume. You have to be very careful about
Mhm.
that, and particularly with the cover letter, because just think about it. If 100 people apply for the job and they all use AI to write the cover letter,
Yeah.
the company is going to get a lot of cover letters that sound exactly the same, and that's not a good thing.
I mean, it's good as a sounding board. It's good at, have you tried rephrasing this? Or, it is like that
Yeah.
assistant.
Yes,
And you can use it for that. But it's got to be, the essence of who you are has to match what is being said, what is
exactly.
being written. And people, I do this when I look at people's sites before I interview them. And then, I get to speak with them and I go, that somebody else did your site and they did it in a template or an image that they like. There's no
Personal.
resonance of you in the site. And I think that's also something most people would say today: have a site that represents who you are. And of course, LinkedIn is the professional field there as well. Use graphics if you're a person that likes to speak in graphics, right? But make sure that
Absolutely.
whatever is down there, that the
Represents
person they
you.
meet
Yeah.
matches what's on, what they're looking
Yeah.
at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember looking at a LinkedIn profile at one point before I met with someone in person, and his photo on LinkedIn was an old photo. I mean, not just a couple of years old, it was like 20 years old.
Yes.
And so I was a little surprised when I
Mhm.
met this gentleman because he
Mm.
looked a lot older than his picture on LinkedIn. So, yeah, you want it to be authentic, your
Yes.
authentic self, your personality, how you speak,
Hmm.
how you talk about the work that you do. That should come out on your LinkedIn profile. And as I said, because you have so much space in the about section, you can
Hmm.
talk about yourself. And that's a good place to do it.
Even putting up a video, right?
Yeah.
Because that actually takes it a step further where people are actually hearing you speak. They're seeing kind of your personality.
Mhm.
All of that, that's very, very important you know, that what's on the words now, you can actually see the person. And, you know, again, going back to however qualified you are, that doesn't mean you're necessarily qualified to lead people, because you just may be very good on paper, right? So,
That's
and
right.
I think that if you find yourself a person that's more introverted, and especially in technology, you're going to find that, and you're not a person that's, really gregarious or how to do that, then that's something you kind of need to learn how to present yourself in a way that people that aren't just tech talk are going to receive you, because they may be hiring for your tech abilities, but they may not speak tech per se. So it is, again, it's sometimes we've got to step out of our own shell or our own fear and go, I need to present myself, or do something in a way that is, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone.
Absolutely. And that's another reason to work with a coach
Yeah.
who can help you with that because, we're all tied up in ourselves.
Oops, we had a drop there, folks, so she'll be back in a moment. Unfortunately, we have lost Amy here. She's having technical difficulties and can't get back to us. But we are at the end of our show anyway, so I'm going to tell you all that she is offering at the present moment. She has, how to find a dream job in 5 easy steps. So she has a wonderful PDF that you can download for $7.95. So she also has a free resume template. And which is offered here, and also her book, which is How to Find That Dream Job in 5 Easy Steps, which is only $7.95 US. And you can contact her at Geffena, Geffena 108 @gmail.com. You can also go to her website, Geffen Careers, GEFFENCAREERS.com. And you can also find her on LinkedIn, Amy Geffen, PhD. And you can find her there, make a connection there. I highly recommend that because that's a great way of, if you're looking for a job, of meeting her on that professional platform, because LinkedIn is very much about professional platforms rather than it is just a social one. So we've learned a lot today about how to pivot into new careers. It doesn't matter how old you are or what stage you're at in your life or what you've come from. I've interviewed many, many person through the years that has left corporate and wanted to start out on their own, or wanting to align with a smaller company, or, just so tired, or had to take a break through illness, or having children, or being supportive of somebody, or needing just to have a mental break and wanting to get back into the workforce. And it is a different navigation these days. And so you've heard some wonderful tips here today. So if you get her book, if you reach out and get her free gift, and also just have a chat with her and see if you are a fit. Her program will help you. And we all need a coach, folks. It doesn't matter that she's given us a kind of a step by step. We need help, and we need somebody that holds us accountable, that keeps us on the right track, that shows us a path forward in a way that we don't end up getting sidestepped or taking, a Grand Canyon step. So we need somebody there that's there to guide us and show us the way forward. But the way forward it is, no matter what your age is or what you're looking for in life, there is a way forward. And I know that there is a job shortage right now, and it is all about not only what you offer, but who you are that is offering it. So always stand tall in who you are and what your skills are, and Amy will help you get there. So until next time, folks, I wish you all well, and bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.